So you can see here the way the kit has been supplied. So all the pieces have been cut out just a couple of mil around the outside of each piece. That there will help a lot compared to just getting a big sheet with all the pieces still attached. And then as well, there's just the decal layout to help for you to organize and arrange what pieces are going to go where. So just I'll cut it open and take out a few of the pieces. So it can help to start to organize the likes of the nose, the tail, the belly pan, the left hand and the right side of the side fairings. The best thing to do whenever you're getting started to apply your decal kit is to go around the bike and remove any old decals, and then use the likes of the isopropyl alcohol to clean off any residue from the glue or the adhesive from the old decals, and also clean off any dust or marks from insects or oil residue, particularly around the likes of the belly pan. So these are the items that I typically use to help me do the installs. So I'll give the fairings a really good thorough clean, particularly on the edges and the various curves where I'm going to want to make sure that the decals have no problem sticking to and also staying and not wanting to lift over the course of the year. And then I have the knife. Just on some places I might want to trim the edge if it kind of overlaps. It shouldn't really, but yeah, there is a little bit of a tolerance on an allowance on these decal kits. So it can occur sometimes. So it's not really the end of the world to just have a good knife and just be able to trim the edges. Just help the bike look tidy throughout the year. I have the squeegee as well. It's nice for good flat surfaces. A lot of times just use my hand. You can also use the likes of driver's license or debit card. And then this here's knifeless tape. So it can be good. Depend what it is. Probably in this kit it's not necessary. There's one piece that we will have to cut with a knife to split between the tank and the side fairings, but I'll show you that shortly. And then I have the heat gun. So it is really helpful whenever there's a lot of curvature, and the vinyl and laminate maybe want to start to bunch up and crease. If you use a little bit of heat, it'll just help like soften it and go on a lot smoothly. Also as well, after you apply those sort of pieces and you have used heat, you will want to apply a good bit of heat afterwards to make sure that you've broken the memory of the decal, and it won't want to pull back on itself and over the coming days eventually lift or crease. But on this here Ninja 400, it's pretty nice fairings, and you shouldn't have to worry about that type of thing happening. Alright, so I'm just going to show the first decals that I'm going to apply, and it's going to be to the tail. It's nice to choose an area that's not very difficult and it's not the biggest pieces, so you can start to get an understanding and a feel for how to work with them. So I'll not show myself installing every piece, because once we start to go through it, you'll see that it's the same sort of principles for the same pieces. There'll just be a few different ways I go about them. So I'll have the likes of the squeegee ready, and I also have the heat gun if needed, but for the likes of this here, possibly in this, there's a little bit of curvature, so I might just need a little bit of heat around the edges just to flatten it out nicely. So seeing as this here's the center piece, I would apply it first, and then on the side pieces I would be able to make sure that I've got a nice even gap. So for this one, because it's a symmetrical piece, what I would do, sometimes you can remove a piece of the backing paper down the center, but because this here is quite a flat surface. I'm just going to actually remove a bit of backing paper from here. Just like that. And then what I do, I will stand directly behind or in front of these sort of pieces. So I'm just looking down at it square. And holding up the side that has the backing paper removed, I'll just get a bit of an understanding about the best sort of location, so I'm not too far forward, not too far back, because you know I'm just looking at a big area of green fairing here. Don't want to have it too far forward, because whenever the rider is on the bike and they're sitting back, you don't want them catching on the decal and lifting it up, and then you know it'll only take a few rides for it to look untidy. So we want to keep it back a bit, so I can see nice sort of location. So I'll just touch it down at the back, look directly down on it, make sure that it's nice and even. Good thing is as well, if you need to adjust it even a couple of mil, there's not a lot stuck down. Just check that that looks good. So there is air release adhesive which helps get rid of bubbles. It's good to a degree, but it doesn't work miracles either. All right, and then for this here piece, so we would want to have it around there. So you could go at it a couple of ways. You could remove a bit of the backing paper from this side and then lead it forward, but because it's quite thin, it could move around a little. So you would be better in this case to remove backing paper from this area here on the front, get it in the best place possible, and then it's much easier to sort of, you know, if you need to manipulate this a little to get it where you want to go, that would be best. That there's looking good. And then I'm trying to keep an eye on this to see if I can keep the gap the same. And you can see here it wants to kind of like peel up higher, but because it's a thinner piece, I can just keep it where I want. And you can see a couple of air bubbles. So they worked out pretty easy. If they don't, what I will do is I would actually just get the edge of this, peel it back, get the air bubbles out, and then reapply. you probably will find on some of the bigger pieces, you might have to take it off and reapply it. And you know, there's times it takes me 4 or 5 goes because I'm not happy with how symmetrical the likes of the front number plate looks. But for the length of time that these here can last, whether you just want to have it on for the race season, showing off your sponsors, or you hope that it'll last a few years, it can easily do that. So I feel like a little bit extra time and patience, you know, repositioning is worth it. It's just going to look better throughout the year, and you'll be happy every time you look at it. You won't be looking at it thinking there's this little fault or it looks off center. So obviously then with this piece, same thing on the other side. I will put on this here now and we'll see if we can get away with without using the heat gun. So probably like to stand in a different position, but I don't want to just stand directly in front of the camera either. That went on nicely. The next decals that I would go to is the front fender. So we just have a few different pieces. We have a nice little piece here. So if you have any particular suspension or technician that you work with, it can be a neat little area to sort of promote them. And then there's this here piece that sort of runs up to the front. And then the top piece. So for the likes of these side ones, so you can rip a piece down the side. Sometimes as well, it's kind of a little tidier to just use the scissors and have a clean cut. So there's about 10 mil, and then from that there, you can line it up nice and parallel. Check that you're happy with it. Peel the remaining backing paper off, and then just install the rest. And it's it will be the same with the likes of the side of the fender, especially seeing as there's a hole cut on these for the mounting bolt. So you can have more control. If you go to rip it off, you might end up just tearing, you know, the entire backing paper off. So for the likes of that there, kind of nice and easier. It's just a little tricky for me. I don't really want to get right in front of the camera, but you can see, get that little bit on, check that you're happy and you're not fighting with a lot of it being stuck. That was quite fast to do, and it's just a matter of, again, peeling off the rest of the backing paper and just following it through. And this is quite thin, so if you need to sort of manipulate this a bit, you want it to be a little higher, you can. And then with the likes of this, because it's on a round surface, what I do is I remove backing paper from down the center, and the way I do that is I'll create 3 small tears at the top. If it was on a bench top, it would be easier. There. So that there allows me to, again, getting myself perfectly in front. checking that I'm happy with it, and then going to one side, removing the backing paper. Just slowly working across it. Because there's a bit more curvature, you do find yourself kind of just sliding my thumb just up and down, trying to make sure that I'm not getting it on perfect here and it's left a whole lot of excess up here because of the curvature, and then there's just nowhere for it to go. So that's why I try to evenly work across it. But at this point here, there's no point me trying extra hard just, you know, to try and get it without any creases. You can see that it's kind of raised up. So I'll just use the heat gun. And that there just made light work of that. And I'll just do the same to the other side as well. On the nose, we have quite a few different decals. Rather than just one big continuous piece that would look well but be very challenging, I've broke it up into a few different pieces which should make it more manageable. If you'd like to as well, just bear in mind that I'm not qualified with vinyl installs or signage or that type of thing. I'm just sort of self-taught, and over the years racing motocross, applying graphics and that there type of thing. So what I would tend to do with this, you know, we've got a piece up here, another on the side, we've got the number plate on the front, and then the same on the other side. So what I would think would be best, or personal preference, will be to apply the number plate first. And if I aim to get it as central as possible, then I can work with the other pieces and making sure they line up nicely. So on this here Ninja 400, the screen's pretty straightforward. There's just 5 little fasteners, so you could remove all of them. Typically I just remove what I need as I go. So if I'm going to start with this front number plate, I will remove this little nut and bolt, and then whenever I get up to the top, I'll do the same with this one. So whenever I've been designing this, I've tried to get away from having to do as much, you know, fastener removal as possible. But it's just a nice little piece, especially if you've got a sponsor or team name or something like that. Just go well there. So I'll get to work on this front number plate. So the shape of the 400 Ninja fairing is really nice, but there is a couple of tricky lines, particularly around this area. So try to come up with a shape that doesn't go over a lot. And then as well, here just on each side, it should avoid these large bolts. But worst case, whenever it's applied, you know, just the knife is used to trim around. So we'll just get a look at it before we do anything with removing backing paper. Just get a bit of an understanding of where best placement for it is to go. I'll also get this removed as well. And you just want to give this a wipe with the cloth and isopropyl alcohol as well. Sometimes if the fairings have just been painted, or even just with fasteners, just a dust from the fairings, especially like even, you know, after you've cleaned the fairings, whenever you're taking fasteners out, lots of times you know, there can be little bits of dust there. So we've done that, and then what we will do is we'll just remove a thin strip from down the center, because again this is a symmetrical piece and we want to get it touched in place rather than taking all of the backing paper off. And not that it will be impossible, but if you want to reposition, you're really making a lot of work for yourself. There you go. So sometimes not super neat and straight down the middle and thin, but again, it's still a lot better than having the rest of this here exposed. And you do have reference points as well. You can kind of look at something like this edge, whatever's closest to it, or you see even here there's like this bolt hole, and it actually looks the same on each side. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that. I don't mind having to trim that, and to be honest, after this install video I will probably update the design, so we'll bring this forward a little and this a little higher, so this isn't an issue going forward, because the less trimming and cutting and that type of things that I can do, the better. I just want to make these nice straightforward kits. So the good thing with using your hands, the likes of, you know, my thumb in this case, I can feel where the edges of the fairing are changing the shape. And I try to be even, you know, work like the other pieces I mentioned, work from top to bottom, not just focusing on the bottom, because then you can get up to another area and it's really challenging. Sometimes as well, you know, with the heat gun, you can apply a good bit of heat and it will, you know, it'll get down into these sort of ridges, but if it's quite deep, you know, it's going to be really hard for that to actually stay. So sometimes I find no harm in actually just working the decal down into those areas. I sort of like to rely on the heat gun as little as possible. We don't have to worry about this piece too much. Like this here will pretty much go wherever we want it. It's a little bit of a stretch there, like not bad, but I would probably put the heat gun onto that, just to make sure that it wants to stay there. This is wanting to come up, so I'll not tack that down properly until I get this piece applied up here, and then I'll want to have this line nice and parallel with it. So even if I really had to, make it go like that, and there's this here, with a bit of heat and a little bit of effort, I could get that worked out. So yeah, so that there went on. That went on nicely. We'll just try to do the exact same with this side. It's not uncommon as well to get lucky on one side and it feels easy, and then you get to the other side and it's like you're fighting an uphill battle, and it can just be, it's hard to know, pinpoint exactly what it was different. I'm sure there's some reason for it. Same thing on that side, we'll just tack it quickly. Now at this point, for the little hole, this is where I use the knife. So I don't try and cut around. I normally cut in, and it just it keeps it tidy. The head of the bolt will go on top of it, and normally lots of times if these race fairings have been painted, just on the inside, they're it's maybe not the, I don't want to say the most perfect area. I try not to, you know, lift any paint or anything like that, but it's much better than, you know, running the knife on top of the fairings. And you only really need a rough hole cut as well. What do you see? I'll just I'll get this nut on off camera, but you can see once that there's on, that's nice and tidy looking. Onto the side piece. So now you can see the shape of it and the sort of position or location it's supposed to go. So we'd want to follow this line here, and it's just going to come on the other side of this, so that there will be a nice piece to apply, and it'll be the same as the side piece on the tail. So I'll not show you that there, it'll just make the video very long, and I'll just go around the bike at the end of the install to show all the pieces in place, to at least give another bit of assistance on the right location. And then for this, I mean, if you've installed this, then this here will be very easy. Removing this fastener, putting in place, using the knife to cut out your hole, put the fastener back in, and then once you have this in place, then you'll see the line, and you'll want to lift this and apply nice and parallel. Also have little screen names. And then also the word Superbike replica headlights. So they're nice and straightforward to go on, flat surface. And then the same with this here, just another little bit of detail to complete the look of the front nose. Alright, so now it's time for the side frames, and obviously there's quite a bit. There's a large piece here, piece on top, that continues from the side frame onto the nose. There's a piece that is here which is supposed to line up to the top piece and also go up onto the tank. And then we've similar with a piece here which is supposed to flow, and then another small piece here. The idea for this design is whenever you're looking straight on at the side, that all the lines are straight and parallel. So obviously this here will, the decal layout will help. So what I would do here is kind of try and choose the main one that will help with the location to base all of them on, and then also the angle. So the first one that I will take is a large one, and the reason for it is it has this cutout here, which if I look at the fairings, it lines up with that. So I could position that there, and then if I go and check, does it feel like it aligns with the edge of the fairings? And it does. So I think, right, okay, that there's going to be my most consistent piece to start with. So you could, one way, if you really wanted, you could use masking tape and you could tape this area onto the fairings, and then you peel this back, remove a bit of the backing paper and stick in place, and then remove the masking tape and then apply with the likes of the squeegee. Just don't have masking tape on hand, but fairly happy that I can move this around here and I'm in a good position to make sure that it's lining up. I'm using one hand to hold it firmly in place. And I think that's as good as I'll get it there. So now, because it's a nice flat surface, this will be should be easy work. Just applying a nice amount of pressure to make sure that you get it applied firmly. And then the next piece that would align with this is this one here. So there's quite a decent sized hole cut out for this bolt, but because this kit is fairly universal, I believe these fairings are wet for you fairings, and in the past fairings I've worked on 400 inches have looked very similar to this. I've worked on one that has got a seat riser and that type of thing, but for the most part the shape looks the same. But across the different fairing brands, the shape of them can vary slightly. So if I had a specific hole cut out here, and then I have this as well, and you were lining up the two, you know, if that there was off even by like 6 or 7 mil, it would look bad. So I think I've found over the last few years the best compromise is to sometimes not include those, similar to the likes of up here with the screen, is not include the cutouts. So you can line up the decal, get it right, and then you find where the hole is, and then you cut it out, and it's nice and seamless. It looks like it was made for it, which it is to the best of my ability. So again, always kind of getting down square in front of it, trying to check everywhere possible and see if we can get it lined up best. Sometimes as well, like that looked like it was almost a couple of mil too short to line it up. Just a slightest little bit of stretch just makes a world of difference, so don't be afraid to do that. We'll maybe just loosen off to get the rest started. Obviously as well, if you're touching the adhesive, which probably isn't good practice, but I know I commonly do it, as long as you know your hands are good and clean. Now we do want this to line up with this design, but also we need to get it applied nicely. So this here's where the likes of the heat gun would come in handy, so to just soften it up, give us a little bit more room to work with. That's nicely done, and if I sort of take a step back and look at the side, it looks like this here's flowing through nicely. So we'll just move quickly on. So next we have this piece. So there's a little bit of a gap, show off some of the green, and it runs over this. So what you could do, I've removed the fasteners on this side as well. So yeah, remove the fasteners as long as it doesn't. The only time I wouldn't remove the fastener at the start is if the fairing's going to fall away. If that's the case, I'll leave it to the very end and try and get as much of this applied and even applied to the next piece of fairing as possible, so the decal is holding it in place, and then I just hold that back, take the fastener off, get the remainder stuck on quickly, get the hole cut out and the fastener in place. That's what I typically do there. So I can show you on this occasion if I was going to use knifeless tape, because really you want to, it's almost 2 cuts you need to do. You want to do a cut just on the edge of the fairing on this piece, and then also on that piece. It's not necessary, you can just like cut along the seam between the two, but if you're able to give yourself, you know, a bit of a millimeter clearance either side, if you've got the fairings on and off frequently, it's just gonna stop having an edge wanting to lift. So this knifeless tape, it's made by 3M. So a lot of signage supply stores will have it, or you can buy online. So you typically want to have about 10 centimeters excess either side at least. It's going to be tricky on this side because the decal ends right at the end of the fairing. So I'll probably just extend it and lead it over to there. Probably look a little unhandy doing this, but I just don't want to get in front of the camera too much. Sometimes this here can feel like a little bit time consuming, but sometimes in the long run it works out being fast, because at the end you've applied the decal and then you are removing this and you've just saved yourself a lot of time on the trimming, and it's also nice and consistent. Just going to go around to the other side and secure it properly. All right, so with these two pieces, this one here, this here is pretty straightforward, but you want to take into consideration this other one, because you want it to actually avoid this fastener here. And on the design, you can see that it's probably about 30 mil up from the other one. Also as well, we'll just show the other method. So this piece here flows from this side fairing up onto the tank, and there's a split here. So you could use the knifeless tape, but I'll also just show how I use the knife to just quickly like cut through it. So we have the edge of this for this piece here. So I think what we'll do is we'll maybe apply it first, because we know the other pieces it's going to work, whether it's a little lower or a little higher. I'm keen to get this in place without clashing with this area here. I just removed the backing paper off this area just to be able to move it around, and it's just kind of tacked in place. And it's tacked in place because worst case scenario, if we do have to move it again, it's not too bad. So that's okay there. The other thing, so obviously I'm lining this up with this, but I also want this line to be parallel with this. That looks really good to me. So at this area with the knifeless tape, you want to make sure that it's really well secured. And what we do is, so we take this excess bit and we start to peel it back, and then you just put your thumb over the top of it, fold it back, and just give it a tug and pull the thread or the string through, and then again put your thumb over the top of the decal, pull it through, and follow the direction. So you can see how quick that was. So there was a little bit of time at the start getting it applied. So if anything, there is like quite an obvious green line of the fairings. So it's definitely going to last plenty of time. It's not going to want to lift, but yeah, sometimes maybe the likes of the knife can be a little bit more subtle, similar to what I'm going to show you up here. So now we have this piece and we're happy with how the thing has worked out. There's a few air bubbles there, I think. Maybe that will disappear. Yeah, it's gone. So what I'm going to do is just use the blade of the knife and just on the inside of the fairing, just cut along it. So it makes night and day difference if you have a good fresh blade. I don't think this is a brand new blade, but it's still pretty sharp. But if it's blunt, you really have to saw at it. But if it's a new blade, it just glides right through them. So I'll normally just make a little bit of a cut, about 5 mil on the inside. And you can see how, you know, that there was straightforward. And then from most angles, yeah, it should look, especially with having the likes of a sponsor here, it'll still look really good and legible. So, and then because it's kind of up here out of the way, like I wouldn't really do much with that. And that there's probably what you could have done with here as well, but good opportunity to show you the knifeless tape. Now, a couple of other things. So on the layout, you can see the Ninja. So that's a nice small straightforward one, but I wanted to wait until all of these were on to make sure that whenever I go to put it in place, it's all aligned on the same angle. So I'll get that there in place. And then we also have this piece here. So this piece goes here, and there's a little bit of a ridge, and I would just be mindful of the rider's boot, and I can imagine it probably rubs off here, but should be pretty protected in here. So that's where this here will be going. And obviously there's a line for me to follow, but then the top line here, I'm going to be using it to be parallel with this. And then we have another piece. I wouldn't say it's possibly like a filler piece, just to create nice overall balance. It's probably a good place if there's more sponsors to have them staggered. And that there goes over here, just underneath the tail. So kind of flows from that to that. So it's a straightforward piece to apply as well. No need for me to show you installing these. You'll be able to get through it yourself. And at the end, I will just go through all of the bike to show the location and everything as a good reminder or to assist. Onto the belly pan now with the numbers and backgrounds, and then also sponsors. We want to keep the same angle flowing through from sort of top to bottom. So what I would do in the likes of this is, right, I know this is going to go roughly around here, and there's a bit of a ridge here, so worst case we'll avoid going completely over the top, as well as avoiding these fasteners. So I'll just remove a little bit of a backing paper, probably around 20 mil, just so there's enough to grab on and hold the angle we want. So I'll come up to the main one on the side and just try and come down around the same angle, find where's I think is most suitable, and then just touch that in place. Probably could come forward another 5 mil or so, but it is getting quite round on the front of the belly pan, so probably do no harm to keep it there. There is quite a deep ridge, so normally say with like wrapping vehicles or that type of thing, I believe the right way is to pretty much have it like that and use the heat gun and get it applied in place. For us, because this is like printed graphics, that there can distort the design, and without applying like the right amount of heat after it's been applied, eventually this will lift it again. So on these sort of cases, I just apply down into it, and if it's applied down into it and it hasn't been stretched or overworked to get into that position, it's not going to want to lift. It doesn't need to. Alright, so that's that piece. Now we've got a couple of sponsors. So the thing that I would be looking for is, I want to sort of, because this here's the last piece to go onto the belly pan, kind of want to split the difference, kind of create a bit of a gap, and it's quite nice. The other point worth mentioning for the location of the numbers here, lots of belly pans I've seen recently, there's cutouts for the exhaust at the rear, and there's just not a lot of height for numbers. We've got this big area, might as well just put a nice set of numbers there. So that there looks like a good location, and again we can make sure that it's parallel now to the numbers. That's our closest reference point, visually at least, and visually, you know, we're probably not that far off if we were to measure. And then you just want to make sure that around all edges are perfectly applied. And that's that. I see there's a couple of little air bubbles in there. It's not the end of the world, but it's just the sort of thing that I'll notice and think, you know what, there's no reason why I can't just lift this up. Really make sure that I press through more firmly this time, so they're not going to be there. All right, the last decal piece that I have for this kit is the swing arm. So this here can be a good opportunity, say if you have a tire sponsor, sort of prime location for it. The other side is very straightforward. There's nothing in the way or anything. Here we've got there's a tie wrap, and then there's the yard, which there's a fastener to or bolt to remove, and then there is good enough gap in behind the exhaust without having to remove it to get that in place. So, you know, it doesn't show a lot, but it's just a small amount of detail, a little bit of color. It's the likes of these sort of pieces that you don't have to put it on if you don't want to, just because it came with the kit. You don't have to. There's also usually like quite a bit of dirt, and especially on the chain and sprocket side, with oil keeping the chain lubricated. So you just want to make sure if you do put them on that you give it a good clean, and whether you choose to remove these stickers or not. If you don't, you'll probably just see the outline underneath that, but it wouldn't be a massive deal. So I think I'm going to get this put on, but it's very straightforward, flat surface once you get the various pieces removed. So closing out this install, it's worth going around all of the decals and just making sure you're completely happy. You know, there's a few areas that I've noticed. There's the likes of this here that needs completed. This here hasn't been stuck down properly, and then there's just a little extra length on this. So, you know, you might pick up half a dozen things, and it's just worth tidying them up just to finish it off well. So I'll just try and show you really quickly as I would do it. On these, rather than cutting around the outside, I normally just try to cut on the inside. That way I'm not cutting onto the fairing. Obviously it looked like that on the last little bit, but sometimes if you can get the pressure right, you're not cutting into the paint, which, you know, you always try your best to avoid. So this here overhangs, which, you know, now with the heat gun, I'll just apply some heat. And then same with the likes of this. You know, maybe it was risen up because it had the wrap up and around. So I would apply it down and then I would put some heat on it. And then if this little cutout that I did, if those parts that were untidy, I'd maybe just try and trim it inside to the point that I was happy with it. But I basically just do that, go around the different areas, see if there's any overhangs, like overlaps, just small little areas that, you know, the likes of, like the brake pad dust, or, you know, just dust from the side of the track or whatever it might be, collect on it and start to get underneath it. So little things like that there can just improve the life of it and just the overall look and tidiness of the bike and the kit. So that's it. I will I'll go around, get everything finished off, and then I will do some videos showing off the entire kit on the bike. And if you're watching this while you install your kit, all the best. I'd be really keen to hear how it went, and if there's any other improvements or advice that you would like, just feel free to let me know. Thank you.